endemic to the system as it did during President Biden's
Has the war in Iran had anything to do with core inflation?
Sir?
Does the war in Iran have anything to do with core inflation? Or you can't answer that, or
no.
either, or are we precluded from asking that?
That is Congressman John Larson of Connecticut, a member of the Ways and Means Committee and a high school history teacher before he came to Congress, questioning Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Larson is not chasing a scandal here. He is chasing a word. The secretary has come to the committee with a number he likes, core inflation. And Larson spends 5 minutes testing whether that number describes the country his constituents live in. By the end, he is asking something much simpler. And the secretary will not say it either. Watch this. If you want hearings taken apart properly, subscribe. That is what keeps this going.
That's how we keep this going.
Thank you. And thank you, Secretary, for joining us here today. It's always kind of unusual when you start a hearing and are instructed what you can say or can't say in an open and free democracy. But having said that, you mentioned in your testimony core inflation a couple of times. What's the difference between core inflation and inflation?
Many people believe, or it is in general, energy prices and food prices, which are much more fast-moving. And I would say that energy prices will roll down when this Iran conflict ends.
So is gasoline considered part of core inflation?
Yes, sir.
It is. So those remarks, core inflation reflects gasoline prices.
Core inflation, it reflects the underlying trend in inflation and whether that inflation has become.
Two things happen in that opening worth slowing down for. The first is Larson noting that the committee was instructed at the top of the hearing about what could and could not be asked. The second is a definition that the secretary gets backwards in the space of a minute. Core inflation is the standard measure that strips out food and energy precisely because those two move fastest. Bessent says so himself. Energy prices, he says, will roll down when the Iran conflict ends. Then Larson asks whether gasoline is part of core inflation, and Bessent answers, yes, it is not. He corrects course into a sentence about underlying trends, but the damage is already done, because the number he came to sell is the one number that has the pump price taken out of it.
Well, I'm not sure what the question is.
Let me make it as simple as I can. Does the war in Iran, are you with me? Does the war in Iran
thus far
have witnessed the rise in gas prices as it caused?
Well, again, that is the regular inflation, and gas prices have gone up, which I believe will be temporary.
Gas prices have gone up, but you believe they're temporary.
Core inflation has dropped 0.5% since President Trump came to office.
Geez, when I'm home in my district, I'm going to just tell those people, geez, you know what? You've missed this whole thing. Don't you understand core inflation? You guys are better off. I mean, these gas prices, I don't know what you people are thinking out there. For God's sake, you should be doing cartwheels in the street over the price of gas. So what is the administration's plan to lower gas prices?
That is why the sarcasm lands. Larson says he will go home to his district and explain that people have missed the whole thing, that they should be doing cartwheels in the street over the price of gas. It is not a joke about economics. It is a point about which number a Treasury Secretary chooses to hold up when he is asked how families are doing. Bessent says the rise is temporary and that inflation has fallen 0.5 point since the president took office. Both of those are his claims, and neither of them is what Larson asked. It is worth saying what core inflation is for, because the measure is not dishonest by itself. Central bankers strip out food and energy because those two prices swing on weather and on wars. And a policymaker trying to read the underlying trend does not want a cold winter or a closed shipping lane deciding interest rates. That is a reasonable tool for the people setting rates. It is a strange tool to carry into a hearing room and hold up as proof that households are better off, because households do not get to strip out the two things they buy every week. Larson is not attacking the statistic. He is pointing out who it was built for. When a Treasury Secretary reaches for the one number that excludes the pump and the checkout, the number stops describing the country and starts describing the argument.
Are you in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We have moved to...
Are you in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We would like to work
Are you able to answer that, or is that not
Well, if I'm not interrupted, I can, Congressman.
Well, I'm waiting for your answer.
We have asked Congress to move to eliminate the gas tax. That is done through statute.
You have moved that. So you're in favor of eliminating the gas tax.
We have asked for that.
So we can join bipartisanly today because you're in favor to eliminate the gas tax.
Again, the White House has asked for it, sir.
They have? Why isn't it before the committee for a vote?
I don't run the agenda.
Well, it's good to hear that we're in favor of something that we can work on bipartisanly that will help relieve people who need it the most. Forgive me, but...
Then Larson does something the clip does not get credit for. He finds the one thing in the room that both sides could actually do. He asks 4 times whether the administration favors eliminating the gas tax, and Bessent eventually says the White House has asked Congress to do it and that the change would have to go through statute. Larson takes the opening seriously. He says that is something they could work on across party lines for the people who need it most. Then he asks why it is not before the committee for a vote. Bessent says he does not run the agenda. Nobody in that room disputes that the request exists. Nobody in that room can say when it will be voted on either.
District aren't doing cartwheels over this economy. They haven't seen the impact that you claim that they're all receiving. People hear a lot of rhetoric, et cetera, but that doesn't pay their grocery bills. That doesn't pay their heating costs. That doesn't put fuel in their tanks. That doesn't help them get through the day-to-day grind of their lives. And so coming here and filling us with platitude and telling us how grateful we should be to the Trump administration for everything that it's done.
Well, Congressman...
Is this war responsible for any of this?
Congressman, food at home is up 2.5% since President Trump took office.
Are we at war currently?
Which is twice.
What Larson says next is the part that survives the clip. Rhetoric does not pay a grocery bill. It does not pay a heating bill. It does not put fuel in a tank. He is describing the gap between a statistic that excludes food and energy and a household that is mostly food and energy. And then he asks the question the whole exchange has been circling. Is this war responsible for any of it?
It's up twice that much every year under the Biden administration.
Are we at war currently?
The conflict has been halted.
The conflict has been halted. So we're not at war. So our military is not involved. We're not at war.
Again, if you would like for me to call the Secretary of War, I can ask. I'm the Secretary.
So as part of the administration and as part of this, we're not at war. How in God's name, if we can't answer any questions at all, and I don't know, maybe there were some special orders where we're not allowed to these questions or not. We ought to make that clear. Are we at war or not? I'm asking as relation to the cost of going up for oil and gas. That hasn't risen. Well, has it risen because of the war?
It did rise because of the conflict. Yes, sir.
The conflict. So that's what we call it.
Listen to that sequence again, because it is the reason this clip traveled. Are we at war currently? The conflict has been halted, so we are not at war. If you would like, I can call the Secretary of War and ask. That is a member of the president's cabinet in an open hearing, offering to phone a colleague to find out whether the country he serves is at war. Larson's answer is the only one available. How in God's name, he says, If we cannot answer any questions at all, then he asks whether there were special orders barring the question and says out loud that if there were, the committee ought to be told. Then he gets his admission, and it comes through the price. Larson asks whether oil and gas rose because of the war. Bessent says yes, it rose because of the conflict. Larson repeats the word back at him, the conflict. So that is what we call it. And he asks the last question, with nothing behind it, are people going to battle and losing their lives? The gavel comes down on the answer. Here is what has happened to the word since. When Bessent told that committee the conflict had been halted, he was describing the ceasefire agreed in April. That ceasefire collapsed in July. The United States has reimposed the naval blockade. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Oman and Qatar are still trying to broker terms. And as of this week, the president says there are no talks underway. The secretary would not call it a war when it was paused. It is not paused now. And the pump price he called temporary is still the pump price his constituents pay. The through line is a small one, and it is the whole thing. A Treasury secretary picked the one inflation measure that leaves out the two prices people feel, then told a committee they should feel better. When the congressman asked what was driving the prices that measure leaves out, the answer was a word he would not say. You are watching Inside Politics. Subscribe and tell us what you would call it.